Sidney Sheldon's After the Darkness by Tilly Bagshawe. Read by Caitlin Thorburn. Prologue. New York, December 15th, 2009. The day of reckoning had arrived. The gods had demanded a sacrifice. A human sacrifice. In ancient Roman times, when the city was at war, captured enemy leaders would have been ritually strangled on the battlefield in front of a statue of Mars, the war god. Crowds of soldiers would have cheered, screaming not just for justice, but for vengeance. For blood. This was not ancient Rome. It was modern-day New York, the beating heart of civilized America. But New York was also a city at war. It was a city full of suffering, angry people who needed somebody to blame for their pain. Today's human sacrifice would be offered up in the clinical, ordered surroundings of the Manhattan Criminal Courts building. But it would be none the less bloody for that. Normally, the TV crews and hordes of ghoulish spectators only showed up for murder trials. Today's defendant, Grace Brookstein, had not murdered anybody. Not directly, anyway. Yet there were plenty of New Yorkers who would have rejoiced to see Grace Brookstein sent to the electric chair. Her son of a bitch husband had cheated them. Worse, he had cheated justice. Lenny Brookstein, may he rot in hell, had laughed in the face of the gods. Well, now the gods must be appeased. The man responsible for appeasing them, District Attorney Angelo Michel, representative of the people, looked across the courtroom at his intended victim. The woman sitting at the defendant's table, hands clasped calmly in front of her, did not look like a criminal. A slight, attractive blonde in her early 20s, Grace Brookstein had the sweet, angelic features of a child. A competitive gymnast in her teens, she still carried herself with a dancer's poise, back ramrod straight, hand gestures measured and fluid. Grace Brookstein was fragile, delicate, beautiful. She was the sort of woman whom men instinctively wanted to protect. Or rather, she would have been had she not stolen $75 billion in the largest, most catastrophic fraud in U.S. history. The collapse of Quorum, the hedge fund founded by Lenny Brookstein and co-owned by his young wife, had dealt a fatal blow to the already crippled American economy. Between them, the Brooksteins had ruined families, destroyed entire industries, and brought the once great financial center of New York to its knees. They had stolen more than Madoff, but that wasn't what hurt the most. Unlike Madoff, the Brooksteins had stolen not from the rich, but from the poor. Their victims were ordinary people, the elderly, small charities, hard-working blue-collar families already struggling to get by. At least one young father, made destitute by Quorum, had shot himself, unable to bear the shame of seeing his children turned out on the streets. Not once had Grace Brookstein displayed so much as a shred of remorse. Of course, there were those who argued that Grace Brookstein was not guilty of the crimes that had brought her to this courtroom, that it was Lenny Brookstein, not his wife, who had masterminded the Quorum fraud. District Attorney Angelo Michel loathed such people. Bleeding heart liberals, fools. You think the wife didn't know what was going on? She knew. She knew everything. She just didn't care. She spent your pension funds, your life savings, your kids' college money. Just look at her now. Is she dressed like a woman who gives a
Sample complete. Ready to continue?